Evariste Ndayishimiye, the Burundian head of state, is now in France, where he wants to participate in the UN conference scheduled to take place in Nice starting June 9, 2025. As each 8th June, Burundi celebrates Patriotism Day, a day dedicated to the late President Nkurunziza. Appear within this news or broadcast. We're going to have a look at some of the legacies to Burundian and Burundians in general. Welcome again, this news in details. As I was saying, top stories. Burundian head of state Evariste Ndayishimiye, accompanied by First Lady André Ndayishimiye, boarded a flight this Sunday morning bound for France. The President of the Republic of Burundi and the Vice President of the Conference of Head of States and the governments of the African Union will participate on behalf of the African Union in the United Nations Ocean Conference scheduled to take place in Nice starting June 9, 2025. The President of the Republic of Burundi arrived in France sound safe. We all this information to Jonas Ndikumunemi, our special envoy in that conference. Ordinary session on the Economic Community of Central African States, ECOWAS in acronym, this June 7th, 2025 in Malabo, the capital city of Equatorial Guinea. It was held under the chairmanship of Teodoro Obiangwema Bansogo. In this session, the Vice President Prosper Bazombanza represented the President Evariste Ndayishimiye. Besides to the crucial issues addressed, the ECOWAS heads of state and the special representatives of UN Secretary General for Central Africa appreciated Burundi and Gabon for the organization of peaceful elections. Jackson Irakoze.
That high-level meeting was held under the presidency of the head of state of Equatorial Guinea, Teodoro Obiangwema Mbasogo, who also serves as president of the Economic Community of Central African States. Heads of state and the government, along with the 4 country representatives, participated in this important session. Burundi was represented by the Vice President of the Republic, Prosper Bazombanza, as a delegate for President Evariste Ndayishimiye. The meeting addressed crucial issues related to accelerating regional integration through the adoption of regulatory text, strengthening regional institutions such as the regional parliament, the Court of Auditors, and the Court of Justice, and advancing the implementation of Central African Health Organization. Obiang reported that in the area of economic integration, significant reforms were proposed. Notable recent achievements include the adoption of policies and instruments on the customs union, common external tariffs, and the establishment of a free trade zone. Other adopted protocols related to cooperation on environmental reforms, business environment, and industrial development in the region. Also, security strategy discussed include the shared governance of the borders, maritime safety in continental waters, and the community's policy on the peace and security. Despite ongoing reforms, financial challenges persist, notably due to the insufficient contributions from member states and a lack of own financial resources. The conference tasked the CRC Commission with approaching each concerned member state promptly to assess debts and propose a settlement timeline. The 26th ordinary session of the CRC occurred amidst serious political and security concerns in the region. President Obiang expressed concern over persistent insecurity, including conflict in Sudan, the spread of armed groups and terrorist movements, and the crisis in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Regarding the DRC crisis, the heads of state urged Rwanda to immediately withdraw its defense forces from Congolese territory in line with resolutions from the 60th extraordinary session held on February 7th. Nevertheless, a message of hope emerged from the meeting. The heads of state, along with the special representative of the United Nations Secretary General, applauded the peaceful elections conducted in Burundi and Gabon. Technical and financial partners particularly the African Union, reaffirmed their commitment to supporting the community. The session was marked by unified efforts toward peace, development, and good governance in the region.
As I said, so far in top story that Burundi celebrates Patriotism Day scheduled for this Monday. It is an opportunity for Burundians to remember the patriotic values embodied by the late President Pierre Nkurunziza, who is considered a model of patriotism. Let's start reflecting on the religious conviction of the late Pierre Nkurunziza, which is expressed through slogan Dusenga Dukora, Dukora Dusenga, to mean pray and work at the same time, encouraging the Burundian people to work in prayer and vice versa. He urged Burundians to draw closer to God in order to combat all forms of division. Fabien Nyonizigie.
Arriving in power, the spiritual conviction of the late President Nkurunziza has been developed under the slogan Dusenga Dukora, Dukora Dusenga, which means to walk in prayer and pray while walking. That motto will remain in the minds of Burundians while this invited Burundian citizens to be in the hands of Almighty God and work hard. Since his election in 2005, all religious confessions were authorized to perform peacefully at the same level. Even the Muslim ceremonies like Eid-el-Fitr and Eid-el-Hajj are now officially celebrated in the country. The constitution has been revised in 2018 under the leadership of the late President Pierre Nkurunziza, gives an important place to God and obliged the new officials appointed 2 new positions to swear in the names of God. Late Pierre Nkurunziza loved God and prayed for the country and the Burundians. In the name of his family, he organized the crusade and prayers 2 times in 1 year. The Burundians will never forget his humility to God. Pierre Nkurunziza worshipped the songs and the gospels, and he found the Komeza Gusenga chorus. Thanks to his melody, he sang and danced as David in the Bible. Pierre Nkurunziza knew that the power of God is only one thing that leads to success and a good life. Pierre Nkurunziza will also remember that thanks to his social values, before the beginning of a cultural season, he prayed God to bless the seas so as to have enough productivity. After the appointment of Evariste Ndayishimiye, the actual head of state, during the National Congress of the party, Bagumyabanga compared late Pierre Nkurunziza to Moses in the Bible, and his successor, Evariste Ndayishimiye, was compared to Joshua, who is known in the Bible as successor to Moses.
Remaining in the context of Patriotism Day, we also reflect on the significant legacies he left, including the organization of elections without external assistance, illustrating national sovereignty and the peaceful transfer of power, which symbolizes stability and democratic maturity. Prime Mugabo Nihera for details.
2015, Burundi organizes elections without foreign financial support, a heritage of late President Pierre Nkurunziza, who called on Burundians living in their home country and those living abroad to contribute for elections. He was the first to deposit his contribution at the central bank. He donated 4 million for the first time, calling on other citizens to do so. That new spirit has started in 2015 when some European world powers issued sanctions against Burundi. For late President Pierre Nkurunziza, the behavior of those powers helped Burundians to raise awareness in managing their internal affairs without any foreign support. For him, the support of those powers included their guidelines. The call of the head of state to sponsor the elections was responded by people of different categories. Those contributions made 2018 a special year as Burundi held a poll on a constitution written based on ideas collected during national dialogue sessions held across the country without any foreign help. After late President Pierre Nkurunziza passed the constitution, he announced that he would not run for another term. He swept away rumors saying that the constitution was revised for his own interests, but he said it was for the interests of the country. He then promised a full support of a president to be elected in 2020. Late President Pierre Nkurunziza fulfilled his promise in January 2020 during a General Assembly of CNDD-FDD he belonged to, appointing Evariste Ndayishimiye as a candidate for the presidential election. During the 2020 electoral campaign, he backed his successor, calling on the party members to vote for him. On his return, President Evariste Ndayishimiye said that his work will not be hard because his predecessor had already laid the foundation. On May the 20th, President Evariste Ndayishimiye was elected head of state at more than 65%.
We equally turn our attention to the defense and the security sector, where significant reforms have been implemented. These reforms were designed to effectively structure these institutions, enabling their members to carry out their assigned missions with the professionalism and discipline. Premier Mugawanihera once again.
Include since 2004 all categories of folks. This is a result of a fusion between loyalist defense and security forces and the former combatants of different rebel groups who used to advocate for democracy restoration. At that time, late President Pierre Nkurunziza was the leader of CNDD-FDD rebel group, which later became a political party. The success of the fusion process was viewed as a landmark both by nationals and foreigners after 10 years of civil war that left behind huge losses. When taking office, late President Pierre Nkurunziza became the Supreme Commandant of Defense and Security Forces. One of his main focuses since then was continuous training to make those forces professional, trainings in their home country and abroad. The maturity of those forces has paid when armed groups attempted to attack Burundi, some from neighboring DRC and others from the east. All of them were destroyed without delay. Another aspect of professionalism was the success in the handling of demonstrations that took place in Bujumbura city back in 2015. In addition, the steady unity among those corps was illustrated in the handling of the attempted coup of May the 13th. That dark episode did not undermine cohesion. After that bad event, the Supreme Commandant of Defense and Security Forces came back home from Tanzania. He was received as a hero. Besides, Defense and Security Forces demonstrated professionalism when armed groups attacked the Bukinanyana and the Kabarore district in 2015. Those groups were swept away. Some of them perished. Another part was taken into custody. At the international arena, Burundi Defense and Security Forces showed epic achievements, particularly through peacekeeping missions in Somalia and the Central African Republic. We are in Bangi, in Central African Republic, where inhabitants were chilling, showing gratitude to those forces. The issue of peace and security consolidation was one of his major priorities. He recommended the setting up of security committees nationwide. As security prevailed across the country, folks were free to participate in community service, sometimes alongside with the late President Pierre Nkurunziza.
Let's conclude our news edition in sports. The 2025 National Athletics Championship final took place this Saturday in Gitega on behalf of the Minister in charge of sports. The Director of Sports in this ministry, Mathias Manirakiza, asked the Burundian athletes competing abroad to always represent their country properly by showcasing their talents while preserving Burundian culture. Jack Soyirakoze once again.
The final round of National Athletic Championship was held at the Commando Central Sports Field in Gitega, the political capital of Burundi. The event brought together male and female athletes from across the country, competing in various disciplines. Track events included the 100 meter, 200 meters, 800 meters, 1,500 meters, 2,000 meters, 3,000 meters, 4,000 meters and 5,000 meters race, as well as the 4 times 100 meters and 4 times 400 meter relays. Field events featured the discus throw, shot put, javelin throw, long jump and the triple jump. In his speech, the president of Burundian Athletic Federation, Dieudonné Kwizera, also known as Muvuduka, encouraged athletes to rely not only on their talent but also on discipline, which he described as a powerful tool for reaching elite levels and representing Burundi on the international stage. Speaking on behalf of the Minister of Youth and Sports, the Director of Sports, Mathias Manirakiza, urged athletes traveling abroad to uphold and reflect Burundian culture values. He reminded them that through their talents, they carry the honor of representing their homeland.
It's by here we end our news broadcast. Thank you for being with us. Stay tuned.